Today I'm really lucky to have here with me Michele Gennoe. Michelle's an author and she's written a book, Mindful Leadership, and we're going to learn a bit about mindful leadership today. So welcome, Michele.
Thank you, Karen.
It's great to have you here because mindful and mindfulness is a really popular word. We're hearing it more and more today. Can you tell us what mindfulness is?
You're right, Karen. It's a very popular topic now. And mindfulness is being very present in the moment to your thoughts, your feelings, and what's going on in terms of your actions.
And so you talk about mindful leadership in your book. So mindful leadership, how does that work?
Well, there's two parts to that. There's the mindfulness and the leadership part. So the mindfulness is what I explained about being present to your thoughts and your feelings in that moment. The leadership part is about being a leader. And it's not necessarily just what people think about in terms of being a CEO. It's everybody being a leader in their lives.
So what about parents? Can they be mindful leaders?
Definitely. Parents are very much leaders within the family and especially to the children in the family.
How does that work?
Well, take for example, little Johnny starts screaming and carrying on, and parents' natural reaction might be to react straight away to little Johnny making all of that noise. And mindful leadership, and a parent being a mindful leader, is actually stopping and pausing and just taking a moment to actually collect their own emotions and own reaction to what little Johnny is doing, and then talk to little Johnny and be much more calmer. And what they will find is that the calmer they are, the calmer little Johnny will be as well.
I know sometimes that's probably harder than we really think, because first reactions are often just out of anger or out of you just react because there's people around you. So how do you learn, even as a parent, to become more mindful?
You're right, Karen. It is something that can be very difficult to do, and it is practice. I mean, many people will remember their own parents saying to them to count to 10 before they react. And that's where mindfulness and this mindful leadership comes in. It's about taking that moment, counting to 10 maybe, and then reacting to the child. So taking that moment and going, well, is the best case in this situation to actually match the child's yelling and screaming with more yelling and screaming back at them? Or is there something really going on? And will my role modelling as the child's parent or my child's parent of being calm and responding to them in a calm way a better role model for them than actually matching that behaviour with the same behaviour?
So you teach mindful leadership courses. How does that work in business?
Well, in the corporate world and in the business world, there's a lot of courses now, and where mine's slightly different is that I believe change takes time. And the mindful leadership courses work where there's a great focus now on teaching meditation and breathing techniques to people. So similar to how we were talking about parents, learning how to meditate and learning how to breathe so that you actually take that moment and reflect on what's going on in your life, in your thoughts and in your feelings before reacting. And the training within these courses is actually training you how to take those moments.
So many people now are learning to meditate for relaxation, and I have heard the word within meditation courses, one in particular I'm doing at the moment, and they're talking about mindfulness and being aware of what you are thinking about and moving back into thinking about your breathing. Does that all help with mindfulness?
It does. I actually talk in my book about two aspects of mindfulness around that. One is where you're doing active meditation, and one is a form of still meditation or still mindfulness. The active mindfulness most people associate with things like yoga and Tai Chi, where you're actually in that activity bringing all of your focus and your attention onto that activity that you're doing. And then with the still mindfulness or the still meditation, that's where people are actually sitting in a chair and closing their eyes and connecting in, and sometimes using breathing or some sort of chanting, and through that actually connecting in that quieter moment with what's going on for them.
So meditation again is becoming really popular, and people are starting to understand the value in lives and not thinking it's a bit out there and woo-woo, that it is really valuable part of our life, especially when we're so busy. How do you find it? Do you use it yourself, and how long should people use it for every day?
I've been meditating myself for nearly 15 years, and
Wow.
what I say to people, especially when they're starting out, is that sometimes 5 minutes isn't quite enough, but definitely doing something like that for an hour can seem like a long, long time when you start. So my recommendation is doing 10 to 15 minutes of whatever style of meditation works for you. So if sitting and breathing is what works for you, then sit and breathe and just focus on your breathing in and breathing out for that 10 to 15 minutes. But if something like going for a walk in nature, that can be a very meditative, reflective meditation as well, because you're out there and you're enjoying that time out. It's such a gift to yourself. It's giving yourself, I tell people, it's giving yourself the gift of 15 minutes. Just think, out of your whole busy day, if you said, I value myself, I'm so
much.
important, I've taken 15 minutes.
So I swim. We've talked about this before, and I swim for about half an hour in the morning in the ocean.
Yes.
And I relate that to my meditation because I can't actually speak to anyone. It's very hard to speak when you're swimming. I see people around me and I see fish and water, but when I come out of the water, I feel incredibly refreshed and revived, and actually have a real big smile on my face.
And while you're in that state, while you're swimming, you're very aware of your thoughts and your emotions, and your senses are all very alive because you're very present in that moment. And that's essentially, that's a great example, because that's what mindful meditation is.
Yes, I know in swimming, you're concentrating on your breath because you need to keep taking them. And it's a little bit different to just when you're walking around. Look, I listened to Lane Beachley speak at a conference recently, and she talked about mindfulness, and that we have a thought like, I need to go on a diet. But she said, listen then to the next thought that comes after that initial, I need to go on a diet. What would she mean by that?
Well, and that's a great example, because it's similar to what we were talking about with reacting to a child that's upset about something. So when you think to yourself, I need to go on a diet, very human reaction to that would be, I need to eat more ice cream, I need to eat that chocolate. Because when you start saying to yourself, I can't do something, your first automatic reaction almost is, I must have that, I must do that.
How true.
So what she's saying is to watch that, and that's where that mindfulness around your thoughts and your emotions about what's going on when you're saying, I need to go on a diet, and then watching what's coming up in your mind and what's coming up in your thoughts.
Michelle, I need to finish up, or we need to finish up. Can I just ask, if people want to learn more about this, how do they find out more information?
I have a website where they can go to called www.michelegennoe.com, or they can contact me through my phone number, or they can contact me through the website and get a copy of the book.
I've read the book and it's a great read. So thank you so much, Michelle, for coming along today. It is absolutely fabulous to hear about mindfulness and some of the practices we can use in everyday life. And the book is Mindful Leadership by Michele Gennoe, and congratulations on your book.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you for inviting me today.
You're welcome.